Sit with me and let's have a Bible study on Genesis chapter 16, verses 1 to 3. Now Sarai, Abram's wife, bare him no children, and she had an handmaid, an Egyptian, whose name was Hagar. And Sarai said unto Abram, Behold now, the Lord hath restrained me from bearing. I pray thee, go in unto my maid. It may be that I may obtain children by her. And Abram hearkened to the voice of Sarai, and Sarai, Abram's wife, took Hagar, her maid, the Egyptian, after Abram had dwelt 10 years in the land of Canaan, gave her to her husband Abram to be his wife. Now, if you watch this video, please click like and subscribe or follow and share the video with someone else. Save it to favorites, watch it again, repost it, but feel free to make comments. I'd like to see what your interpretation is of this passage. Now, Sarai acknowledges that her not having children is God's will at that point. God has restrained her from having a child. How many modern Christian women acknowledge God's hand in something like this? Since the time of Isaac Newton, Christians have reduced God to the first cause of things only, and do not typically acknowledge his hand in the fundamental processes of life. The modernist watchmaker God, who winds things up and stands back, available perhaps to wind it if it runs down or correct the time if in error, is not the God of the Bible. Any honest reading of the Bible, and particularly the book of Job, will show us that God is directly involved in the daily processes of our lives and life's complexity. His will goes beyond life's existence to its moment-by-moment function. If God can be likened to a watchmaker, then he is a watchmaker that not only built the clock, but moves the hands. At this point in the narrative, we can understand that the promise that God made to Abram that a great people would come from him did not include Sarai, but she is part of the promise, as we will find out. Still, as we will see later in Jacob's life, a woman of substance in those days might regard children coming from her personal servant as her own. This never worked very well emotionally, as jealousy and a sense of being held in contempt would rise up in these situations where the patriarch afforded himself intimacy with a servant woman. Sarai may not have known about the promises made to Abram, although I doubt he kept her in the dark. But if she knew what God had promised to Abram, here's a classic example of going ahead of God. We need to wait on God and not try to improve on his plans and his will. God will do a thing in his own time, and our impatience and ego can cause a world of trouble for us when we try to push ahead without God. Sarai is going to, quote, help God. This is an unfortunate mistake. Sarai has given her servant Hagar to Abram for the purpose of producing a child. We would rightfully regard this as wicked and sin today. But remember that culture that Abram and Sarai were brought out of, and understand that our veneer of Christianity, even civilization, is very thin. God is merciful, though, and his grace abounds all through the Bible, as we will see. Here also we see how the concept of wife is bound to sexual intimacy, and we understand the meaning of go in unto my maid. This shows one of the great differences between slavery and servanthood in the world of the Bible and that of antebellum pre-Civil War America. The thousands of sexually abused slave girls in America forced to bear their master's offspring was never viewed by the unfortunate wife of the slave owner as representing her. In fact, there are diaries of the wives of slave owners, some of which I've read, which revealed that those women were heartbroken over the culturally accepted adulteries they had to suffer. All right, we'll stop there and pick it up in verse 4 next. So please read your Bible today. Let God speak to you through his word. Study your Bible, cross-referencing the verses. Before you do either one, pray to God for wisdom and understanding, and then share your interpretation with someone else. You can purchase my comments on Genesis on Amazon. You can read them on my blog. I'll post the links below. But if you watch this video, I look forward to seeing what you have to say and your interpretation, all right? And thank you for watching and listening to this video today.